In this lesson, we're going to walk you through the Topics Explorer. Now, back in the day, understanding what was actually driving your support volume meant hours of manual tagging and digging through data. Now, the Topics Explorer uses AI to automatically group conversations into meaningful topics and subtopics. Think of it as a smart assistant that shows you what's driving support and how well your team and Finn are handling those issues. Let's take a look. When you open the dashboard, then first of all, you'll notice everything is purple. That's because we're filtering by the CX score. Now, you can actually filter by other metrics, but we're going to come back to those towards the end of the video. Now, on screen, you'll see two things, a bunch of tiles and some graphs. The tiles are basically your top topics arranged by volume. So the bigger the tile, the more conversations there are about that topic. And the darker the tile generally signals that there's a lower score. So if you see something dark, it means that there's potentially something to investigate. Whereas if you have a smaller tile that's a little bit lighter, it means there's less conversations about it and things are going pretty okay. Now, on the right, you'll see exactly the same topics, except these are plotted out over the last 4 weeks. This is great because you can actually track how your volume and your score are trending at the same time, meaning you're going to be able to spot anomalies and spikes. Now, to talk through this in a little bit more detail, let's give an example of how you'd investigate a specific topic. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hover over the support topic. I can get a bit of an overview on it, but I'm going to click in here and we're going to investigate it a little bit more. So within a subtopic, we're one layer down. Things are going to get a little bit more detailed and a little bit more actionable. It's going to help you get to the heart of the issue faster. Now, within the support topic, you can see it's divided up into errors, bugs, problems, feedback, issues. These are all your subtopics. And if you hover over any one of them, you can kind of get a better sense of what questions are being asked in there. Now, over on the right, I can actually see the exact same subtopics, but broken out over time. And if I'm looking at my graph here, you can start to see where anomalies, peaks and troughs are. So I can see here on June 23rd, there was a spike of 10 conversations with a low CX score of around 30%. Now, when there's a spike like this, one of the first things that I want to do is I want to see how Finn handled the situation. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to change the filter to Finn's resolution rate. I'm going to go to the same date and I can see that, hey, Finn actually resolved those 10 conversations. So if Finn was involved and resolved all 10 of them, there's probably another reason why the CX score was so low. Now, we could jump up and look at some other filters here, but I'm actually going to jump into the conversations behind this spike. So I'll click in here. Here you'll see a summary of the questions that have been asked, as well as the CX score for the individual conversation and the CX summary. Now, the summary is great because it highlights the key reasons why a customer felt positive or negative, and it gives you a little summary of what actually just happened in the conversation itself, so you don't have to go scrolling through every single message in the thread. And once you click through a few different conversations, you can actually get a much better sense of what's going on. So this really gives you more of an instant read on like what's working, what's not, and where to focus next. If after examining a couple of conversations, you may realize that, hey, we need to make a product change, we need to add some more content for Finn, or we need to create a new process. To kind of contextualize this a little bit more, I'm going to look at one more example just to drive it home, and I'm going to jump out of the product for a second. So in this mock-up, we are pretending that we are a gaming company. And we can see here on April 17th, we had a volume of 61 conversations, a spike in volume, and they had a CX score of 41%. So let me put that information into this little table. We could go and look at our other metrics then, but I'm just going to put them in here. We can say that Finn was involved in 68% of the conversations and the handling time was a little bit long at 18 minutes. So if we were to do like we just did in the product and dive into some of the conversations behind these metrics and look at the individual CX score and summaries, we can see that in this one, the player contacted support after being locked out. They're told their account had been permanently suspended. And there was a generic response and there was no explanation of what actually triggered the ban. So low CX score, another low CX score here. Someone was questioning why their account was disabled after an automated message. There was no mention of what happened, how long it would go on for and what to do next. So they felt ignored. And let's look at one more, low CX score again, received a message stating their account was banned due to a terms of service violation, but no specific reason or evidence provided. They asked how to appeal and got no guidance, leaving them feeling confused and unfairly treated. Now, this is obviously just an example, but from this and from looking at the metrics and from reading about some of the conversations and what happened, we can actually have some learnings and figure out what action to take next. So what did we learn? We learned that Finn sent a generic terms violated message. Players didn't understand what they'd done wrong or how to appeal. And when the agents were coming into the conversation, they were just repeating the same information. It was kind of adding to the frustration. So we have a few different steps or a few different pieces of action that we can take here. One, we can add some content. So we can add some more content to Finn to explain what the top 3 violation types are and instructions on how to appeal. So Finn will now have that information and be able to give it to them. We can create a new ticket appeal process. So we can create a new ticket, give Finn access to it. So when a customer wants to appeal, they can interact with Finn, fill out the form, and it can go to our team for them to review. And finally, then we could actually take some of the things that we learned, so about what was happening in that process, and give some feedback to the product team. So this is going to help them maybe implement a more transparent banning process. And it's really great to be able to just have all this information and be able to provide it. And you can see here that you're adding content, creating new ticket processing, and be able to give feedback to different teams. There's a lot of value in what you can get out of this report. So we're getting a really good sense of what happened here, and we know what we can do based on that. Before we finish up then, there are a few things to note. Up here, you can obviously filter by date to see what's driving volume over a specific period. If you're not happy with just viewing 10 of your highest volume topics, you can expand that out to 20 or view them all at the same time. And obviously we mentioned the performance data filters here. So each topic is layered with performance data. So you can filter by these different KPIs, CX score we covered, involvement rate we talked about, handling time and more. And by filtering by these, you're not just seeing what customers are asking, you're seeing how well your team and Finn are handling it. Another useful tip is to filter by teammate resolution rate. So if I go up here, I can click to agent type. You can filter by Finn, teammate, or both. But if you want to compare between Finn and your team, it's a really useful way to do it. You can see the difference in the CX scores. And one of the best things about this is that the data updates in real time. You do not need to wait for reports. You can spot an issue today and fix it today. And because all of the structure is built by AI, it's not based on your own labels or assumptions. You're going to get a much more unbiased view of what's really driving the volume and the experience for your customers. That's going to mean fewer blind spots and more confidence in your decisions. Now, this is especially useful if your business sees seasonal shifts. If you have like a retail peak or like a summer slowdown, this is going to let you compare trends over time to make sure that Finn is always trained on what matters. With the Topics Explorer, you'll finally know what's driving your support volume, so you can fix what's broken, double down on what's working, and deliver a better experience at scale.